we go. Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Meg. I am super happy to be hosting you all today. I'm part of the PowerToFly chat and learn and marketing team. And I'm really excited to be digging into this subject with Lamore, who usually hosts a half-hour session with us, and it's never enough time. So I'm really excited to get to spend some more time with her and dig in on this amazing subject about mentoring. So as we get going here, I am just going to call out a couple quick housekeeping items for everybody. If you've joined us on a previous chat, this will all be pretty old hat, but stick with us, it won't take very long. The biggest thing that I can tell you is that if you are joining us as an attendee today, this session is all about you, just like all of our virtual events. It is all about your participation. You are going to get out of it just as much as you put into it, and hopefully you'll enjoy and have as much fun as we do planning and hosting these. So to that end, we very much encourage participation. So you're more than welcome to turn on your cameras, come off mute if you'd like to comment or ask questions. The only thing that will happen is that if you come off mute during the live recording, you will show up on this recording when we post it on our website or on our YouTube channel. So to that end, if you want to remain more anonymous, but you still want to participate, no problem. You can always write any questions or comments you have into the Zoom group chat. And then if you'd like further privacy, you are more than welcome to message me directly. You'll just select my name, Meg-PowerToFly, instead of everyone on the drop-down menu. Sorry guys, my dogs are going nuts. To that, to kind of highlight that point, if you have kind of any background noises where you are, I will be muting myself when I'm not actively speaking. So please feel free to do the same. If I do mute you because there's some kind of background noise interfering and you're not actively speaking, it's not a rebuke. You are more than welcome to unmute yourself and comment, but just make sure that you go back on mute when you are done speaking. The other thing that we try to flag is that if you want to interrupt me, not a problem, but please try not to interrupt either Lamore, our guest speaker, or any of our other attendees if they are currently asking a question. Just kind of use your best judgment. Like I said, this whole thing is being recorded. So whether you spend 5 minutes with us or the whole 60, everybody that registers today or that registered for today's session will be sent an email with a link to rewatch this recording. You'll also be able to find it on our YouTube channel. So you can keep up with us on social at PowerToFly at all the, on all various social media channels. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That'll alert you when we have a new video. And so that way you don't miss anything. So maybe, you don't get a chance to sign up for something, but you still want to watch the video. That is a great place to check out. So as we get started here, if you have any other further questions, please feel free to ask me. You can always message in the group chat or message me directly, whichever you prefer. So without further ado, I would love to introduce our guest speaker. Lamora Bergman-Gross has led teams at DigitalOcean, Oracle, VMware, and Sun Microsystems. Her passion is helping women succeed in the tech industry. To do this, she has focused on mentoring engineering managers for the past 3 years. For more than 10 years, she's been leading teams and organizations of different sizes while building great culture, innovating, and shipping products. She enjoys helping engineers grow both their technical abilities as well as their communication and collaboration skills. Currently, Lamore is pioneering PowerToFly's mentorship program, and she lives in Israel with her family. So thank you so much for joining us, Lamore.
Thank you, Meg. It's great being here.
Yeah. All right, so we do have a couple slides with the questions. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to your introduction before we move on?
No, that's a great introduction. We could just dive in.
All right. So if you submitted questions in advance of today's session, we have compiled those questions and we've taken out the redundant ones and we've sort of combined them into what we think will be kind of a conversational format. So because today's being recorded, you don't feel like you have to take a bunch of notes or anything, but our more type A joiners sometimes appreciate the opportunity to take a screenshot of the questions that are coming. So that way you know if a question occurs to you, if it might fit better later on in the session, or if you can tell at a glance that nobody has asked that question. So I'm gonna go to the next slide here. We actually have 3 slides of these questions because you all asked a lot of questions and they were really good. So to that end, if you have a question and it'll fit, with something else we're going to ask coming up, you feel free to hold it if you'd like, but priority is always given to people that participate. So here's the last slide of our questions. So even if you wrote in and asked a question, prior to today's chat, if you want to make sure that we answer that question, absolutely come off mute and ask, or you can put it in the chat and I'll make sure that we hopefully cover that sooner rather than later. So we're going to try to get to all these questions today. To kick us off with the first one, Lamore, this person wrote in and asked, how do you ask someone to be your mentor and start that relationship? Is it better to be formal or informal? Do you have any guides or templates to use to plan the conversation or email?
So I think the best way is to start with someone you have some kind of relationship with, but not just starting off completely cold. That will be, my recommendation. What I've done in the past, so when I started managing for the first time, I was a software engineer and then I started managing, and I really asked for help because I was clueless how to do that. And I was first, meeting with a coach, and then, it didn't work out that great for me back then. And there was a previous manager that I wanted him to mentor me. So I just approached him and asked him if he had some time and he could help me out. And about a formal or informal, it really depends on the situation and the person. So, for example, in my example back then, it was not so formal because the person was kind of, very busy, and we couldn't really form a time commitment and, anything, scheduled regularly. So it was kind of ad hoc. I think it will be best if it is formal, if it's possible. And that's what we do in our program. It's more formal, and we talk about the goals and all that. But it depends on your situation. Guides and templates, I mean, typically it would be like asking for someone, that, as I said, recommend someone, and asking them if, sharing. I always recommend sharing like your side a little bit, yeah, like why you need help, and then asking if they can help you. I think that's the best way to start a conversation and figure out if the person is willing to support you.
I think that's a good thing to clarify, because I think, sometimes people have the tendency to really overthink things like this, to the point that you just never pull the trigger and you never ask. And so it can be just as helpful to, start off with, hey, I'm not really sure how to ask you this, but I'm interested in forming a mentor type relationship. Is that something that you would be interested in? The other thing I do want to highlight for everybody, I'm going to throw a link up in the chat, but we are going to have a chat and learn coming up in October, on the 22nd, so about a month from now. And it's all about referrals and introductions. It's got Kelly Kugler, who's part of the Allura Collective and has hosted a bunch of chat and learns for us. And she is queen of templates when it comes to things like this. So if you're still unsure on how to do this, but want to make sure you're following Lamore's advice to, just ask, that would make it, kind of a good middle ground. So I'll include the link to that chat.
Yeah, that's great. And one last thing I want to add on this, it's like, it doesn't have to start with like, hey, can you mentor me? It can start with something much simpler. Hey, I'm really, I just started this role, whatever it may be. I need some help. Do you have some time to meet with me? And kind of build up from there. Also see if there is like a connection between you, if there's chemistry, and then move on. It doesn't have to be like full blown, hey, can you mentor me?
Thank you for flagging that, because I think that's definitely a mistake that I've made in the past, of assuming that like you sort of have to start with what you actually want, so you're not wasting someone's time. But you're right, it's more of that relationship. It's developing that relationship and seeing where that can go. All right, so this next person had asked, they said, I made a career change into tech without real work experience, but with lots of practical laboratory experience. How can I find a mentor who believes in me and my journey, especially when it's something like this where it's non-traditional?
Absolutely. So first of all, finding someone who believes in you, it takes time. It's not happening in one day. Because typically the people that believe in us are, first of all, it has to be us, ourselves, and then people who are close to us, who know us. But then as you start working in the workplace, you need to find allies. You need to find people that you really can talk with, that you feel like they trust you, and they showcase what you're doing, and they can support you. So I think that the best way is just build a relationship, in the place that you work right now, assuming you do work right now, build relationship and try to have, kind of get yourself out there, showcase what you're doing, and from there on, you'll just find the people that are supporting you.
Excellent, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so this person wrote in saying, how do you keep the mentor-mentee relationship going? Should you have multiple mentors throughout your career?
So the first question about how you keep it going, it's really your role as a mentee to drive the relationship. So to make sure that the meetings are happening, and if the mentor cannot meet with you, you need to follow up and check when they can meet with you. You need to come up with the topics, with the areas you want to work on. So you need to be the driver of this. I think that's very important because it's your responsibility. About multiple mentors, absolutely. I mean, I think that as you grow with your career, you'll probably need different mentors because you'll need to work on different things. At the beginning, it may be like something like, okay, how do I build my technical skills, for example, if you're, in a technical role. Then it can be, how do I form relationship with my teams? Then it can be, how do I build trust? How do I form bonds in other teams? Depending on, your path, you probably need different mentors. Also, different mentors bring different perspective because each person is different. So it's always good to get different perspectives.
So along those same lines, then, if you have the idea that it's understandable to have different mentors at different times of your career, could there be times where you are either between mentors or have overlapping mentors, maybe, depending on kind of the formality of the relationship and the time commitment involved?
Theoretically, it is possible. I mean, I don't know if it's if you'll have time to have more than one. I think that will be the most challenging thing with overlapping mentors. It's just to find a time, because it's time consuming. I mean, good mentorship is a mentorship that is actionable, that you actually do work in order to develop yourself. So I just think it will be challenging from your perspective to really commit the time to work with two people in parallel.
Makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So this next person had written in saying, I have been working as a developer for 17 years and want to switch to a management role. Is it important to find a mentor with a similar work history to my own?
I think it will be good to find someone that is in a role that you aspire to move to. Because this person can help you get to the next level. So if you are a developer and you want to become a manager, it will be good to find a mentor that is already a leader, a manager, a director, a VP, whatever it may be. So in leadership position already. It doesn't have to be exactly the same work history, it doesn't have to be same companies, doesn't have to be the same length, but someone who has worked similar path to yours, who have been in a technical role and then moved up to leadership.
It looks like Polina actually has a question. Do you want to come off mute and ask your question, Polina?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So I know that many people are looking for a job right now, right? And they don't have a professional relationship with people yet, or their professional relationship finished already with their previous job. And that's the time when people actually need a mentor, because they're lost, they don't know how to move on with their career. So my question is, how to find a mentor in that kind of situation when you don't have a professional relationship with people at work? First question. Second question, how to understand who can help you in this kind of situation, who is a good mentor, who could be a good mentor. And third question is, I know there are services such as LinkedIn mentorship, for example, where you can apply for a mentor, and that's a paid service, or like PowerToFly paid services. When I go there and try to choose one, usually people that have a feedback to my request are professional coaches. They have their own websites, they have many coaches in their team, etc., etc. And it doesn't feel authentic. Like, it feels like it's business for them, and they will have the same approach to me as to other people, because that's their business and they're making money, and apparently they have a standard approach to everybody. So I don't know if it's true, but that's my feeling about this kind of services.
So first of all, Paulina, I mean, I'm happy to talk to you. I mean, if you want. Personally, I mean, our program is also a paid program, the mentorship program. And to be honest, typically when some women, when they approach me, I don't recommend them to do the mentorship just because when they are looking for a job. And the reason for that is because the type of mentorship we usually do is helping someone build their career path. And it's very active mentorship. So what it means is that during the mentorship, the mentor will give assignment to the mentee, depending on where they're struggling. It can be public speaking, it can be, you know, building some relationship. And if you're not working right now, you need to be focused on finding a job. And for that, we also have like career advice and all that. And I'm happy to talk to you and see how we can help you. I think the best advice I can give you is really to network. And we have a lot of events that we are doing, like this one. We have also networking, we have career fairs. I mean, attend as many of those as you can to really build a network, meet people. I think that's the best way for you to kind of, because your goal, as I understand it, is eventually to find a job. If you need advice in, okay, if you're completely lost and you don't even know what kind of job you know you want, where you want to go with your career, then you know maybe you can find someone who can help you find your direction. I don't know if the specific mentorship program that we have can help you, or just finding someone, but I'm happy to talk to you and see if there's something we can help you.
I see. Thank you very much. I guess I'll add you on LinkedIn and ask you this question again.
Absolutely, or you can just on our mentorship page, there is a form you can fill, and then we'll just get your email and we'll contact you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Paulina, for coming off mute and asking. And Lamore mentioned the mentorship page. I'm going to grab the link to that and put it in the chat so everybody knows where to go in case they are similarly, you know, have similar questions. Okay. So this next person's question asks, where can we find good mentors catered to people just starting in or considering entering the tech industry? Should I find a mentor within the industry I think I want to pursue, or should I find a mentor in my current field in case the change doesn't happen or doesn't work out?
So the thing is that first of all, we need to figure out what we want. And things happen if we decide. I really believe in like deciding, setting a direction to ourselves and pursuing it, and then figuring out who can help us the most. I mean, the last, what you said, you know, the person who wrote that, in case the change doesn't happen, I mean, it really depends on you to make it happen. So my recommendation would be to first figure out what you want. And if you don't know what you want, then you need to find someone who can help you figure out what you want. And typically, the people who can help you are career coaches, because they know to ask the right questions and help you with kind of identifying what the areas you want to do and help you figure out what's the path. Once you know what path you want to take, I would recommend finding someone who is already on that path. So that person can help you figure out what you need to do in order to get there and advance yourself.
I think you're right. I think you know, if the change doesn't happen, that's really up to you. You shouldn't really need a mentor to guide you through that change, right? Or because that's not really the job of a mentor. But if it's just that the change doesn't work out, I mean, you've still developed this professional relationship with this person. That doesn't mean that the mentorship has to end, right?
Yeah, I think that you know, a lot of times, I mean, people just need to figure out what is it that they want and get some focus. Once the focus is there and they're, you know, and the mind is set on what you want to achieve, then you go to how do I do that? And it can be a mentor and it can be something else.
Okay. So the next question we have is honestly kind of in the same area. This person says, I currently work in logistics. I started working on the business side and now work as the go-between for the technical and business teams. I'm interested in making a switch to the computer sciences, and I'm unsure how to find a mentor who can help me navigate this change. So based on some of the stuff that you've said for past questions, it sounds like this person needs to, decide where they want to go, and then see if they can find a mentor that maybe is already at that place to help them understand how they got there.
Yeah, and probably, there's some training that they will need to do. I mean, if they want to start, if they want to do a career change, and probably they'll need to go to some training. And a lot of times those places that do the training, they also help with, helping someone get a direction. And I think, as I said in previous questions, start to network and meet people. I recommend meeting people that are working in areas that you're interested at, in companies that you're interested at, and start forming a relationship with them.
So this person saying that they're already the kind of the liaison between the technical and the business teams, should they maybe explore the technical team members that they know at that company? I mean, your mentor doesn't have to be someone who's in director level, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It can be someone in your company already. If there are people already transition within a company is usually the easiest if this is something that they're interested in. Absolutely.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you for that. All right, so this next person had said, I'm interested in mentorship specifically for new leaders. Is it more difficult to find a mentor who will help you develop your own leadership style?
I mean, anyway, anyone has their own leadership style. I don't think you need someone to help you with that. I think that the mentor, so with leadership, it's very, very important to get support. I mean, I can tell you based on my own experience that when you start a leadership position, you need guidance. You need someone to help you. And typically it's when you have challenges with, getting the trust of your team, how to build a team, how to manage performance, a lot of things. And you need to find someone who has done that, doing that already, that can help you really tackle the challenges that you have as a new leader. So it's not really, I don't think it's difficult to find a mentor. And any good mentor will not try to kind of force you into doing something you're not. They will just help you, with giving some advice on what you can do. You need to figure out what kind of leader you want to be. And every person is different.
Absolutely. Well, and this question made me think when I was reading it earlier, the kind of person that you're going to approach to be a mentor anyway is generally not somebody whose style doesn't work for you. It's going to be somebody that you respect, that you admire, that you want to follow some of their professional path. So ideally, that it's not like you're trying to learn something from someone whose style you don't value yourself. So you're right. I mean, you have to do that work on your own first to realize what what kind of leadership style you're trying to develop. But the tenets of leadership and being a good leader, that doesn't really change from person to person. It's more the delivery method or the tone that you take with your people.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, a mentor is not there to tell you exactly what to do. They're there to be your sounding board and to give you support and to give you some advice based on their own experiences, but no one is going to tell you what to do. You will need to make the decisions yourself and figure out how you want to act.
I think that's a really good thing to highlight too. And it's really important to note that, the mentor not being the person that's going to tell you what to do doesn't mean that you have to bring all the perceived options to the table. If you have a problem and you're not sure what to do about it, sometimes that means you really have no clue, but more often than not, it means you have a couple different options and you're not sure which to pursue. So you're still going to be bringing those things to the mentor. And in that case, you can kind of approach the rest of these problems like leadership or like career change or whatever in kind of the same way. You're not bringing the mentor just an open-ended problem with no solutions in mind at all, because the mentor doesn't know what you want out of life. The mentor is not, they're not your conscience. They're not your fairy godmother. It's somebody to help guide you, but it's not, they're not going to have like a pre-printed map that says, this is what Megan should do with the rest of her career.
Yeah. Also, I mean, another thing is that when you are leading a team, it's really the type of companies you work in. Really, a lot of times it depends also on the company culture, and what is the right thing to do in one company may not be the right thing to do in a different company. So things are changing also when the environment is changing.
That is a really good thing to point out. And actually, I think we have a question later on that deals with that about inside mentorship versus outside mentorship. So we'll dig in deeper on that when we come to the question. All right, so this person had asked, do you think mentors should be, do you think mentors should be assigned like through a program or in a random drawing, or more organically paired based on interest, personality, etc.?
I mean, I can tell you what we do. We assign them not randomly, but more we pair based on area. So what we do, we ask our mentees to kind of fill some questionnaire and about themselves, what they're trying to achieve, and what are the areas they're struggling with. And when we onboard our mentors, we ask them to rate themselves and rate the areas that they're strong in. And we're trying to match people first in the same kind of, career path, like engineering, product, whatever it may be, and also based on the areas that the mentee want to work on versus the strengths areas of the mentor. That's what we do. And that's what I think is right. But obviously, we're people, so personality takes place as well. I haven't encountered yet cases where the people didn't work well together, because our mentors are really, amazing women who are leaders and work in different. So I haven't encountered people that didn't get along, but it doesn't say that it cannot happen. So you need to find someone you feel comfortable with. If you're just choosing someone out of your company or whatever, I mean, find someone you feel comfortable with, because you need to be fragile and open when working with someone. Otherwise, it won't work.
I think that's one of those things that people tend to not really remember or realize, is that you're right. Like this relationship requires, just like a lot of relationships, a degree of vulnerability and a degree of being open and honest and somewhat, I would say even more than everyday life, somewhat humble with somebody else, because you're literally asking somebody to help teach you. You're trying to find a teacher. Mm-hmm. And not everybody's well suited to that, but that doesn't mean that they don't have valuable things to teach you. So if you're finding yourself in a situation where you don't think you clash well with the personality of your mentor, but you also know that there's a lot to learn from this person, I mean, that in and of itself makes the relationship worthwhile. It just changes maybe what the relationship's going to look like.
Yeah, but you need to feel comfortable. I think that if you don't feel comfortable with the mentor, even if they have a lot of value to give you, I mean, it will not work, just because, you will not be able to open up.
Very good point. I was thinking more in terms of people that like maybe they have a mentorship program through their company, but they get randomly assigned and not everybody hits the jackpot on that. But you're right. If it's like if it's just a, we wouldn't be besties kind of thing, like that's not a big deal. But if it's somebody that you don't really feel comfortable being open with, or, being kind of vulnerable and admitting, like admitting areas that you need help in, even if that's not something you're comfortable with, that's really important and should be, definitely should be addressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so this person asked, should we as mentees, oh, sorry, I just realized there's a typo in this slide, my fault, guys. Should we as mentees be skilling up or skilling across a broader range? Is it better to have a mentor with a deep knowledge of your field, or one with a wider skill set?
I think it depends on what you want. I don't have a set answer for that, because if you want to get into a very specific niche and you really want someone to help you in that, then maybe you need to find someone who is specializing in one area. Typically, I mean, the kind of mentors we have are not like a very, very specific or deep knowledge, but are more broad, but still, I mean, in the same career path. But again, it depends on you and what you need. If you need someone to help you and mentor you in a very, very specific area, then you need someone in that area. All
right, moving on to our next question. So this person had asked, what can mentees do to make the mentor-mentee relationship as effective and productive as possible? So you talked a little bit about like that you are, you're kind of getting out of it what you bring to the table, but can you maybe elaborate on that a little bit for people?
Absolutely. So the most effective thing that a mentee can do is sit down with themselves and figure out, okay, what are the areas that they need help with, and then rate those things. And before each session, really think about, okay, what do I want to get out of this session? And you can prioritize the topics depending on the length of the session and how big is the topic. It can be very simple, like question you need answer on, and then really give a heads up to your mentor. Those are the things I want to work on today or talk about today, and then lead the conversation with the areas that you want to talk about. I think that's the best thing you can do.
So then would you say that it works best if, so like you said previously that, you kind of have to drive the relationship yourself.
Yeah.
What do you think you do if you have maybe a different idea of how the relationship's going to progress than whoever is your mentor? Is there a good way to address that?
I don't know exactly what you mean by, different direction. I mean, the way
I'm thinking more in terms of like you set the whole relationship in motion with the understanding that like you'll bring certain things to this person, a couple times a year or every 3 months or something like that, and that person either like becomes not available or if the relationship, I guess, basically breaks down. Is that something that can be addressed by the mentee, or do you sort of have to just kind of roll with the punches and find somebody else?
I think that first of all, it's a commitment from both sides. Although the mentee needs to drive it, I mean, there has to be a commitment from the mentor. If the mentor is not available, whether it's like physically they don't have time, they keep rescheduling, or like you feel they're not there, like you feel like they're talking with you, but their mind is elsewhere, then maybe you need to find a different mentor. It's always good to set expectations. I mean, if you're unsure how this is supposed, because what we do, we set very clear expectations with the mentor and mentee, we do a kickoff and all that. But if the mentor you work with, you're not sure, just do a expectation matching call, just kind of talk about, okay, this is what I think I want to happen. What do you think? Try to ask them some questions. What do they expect from you? How do they think it should work? And make sure that you're on the same page.
Absolutely.
I don't know why I don't hear you, Meg.
I'm so sorry. I had muted myself instead of unmuting. My bad. So this person had asked, can you talk about the differences between a mentor and a career coach? How can you tell which would really suit your needs better?
Yeah, so a mentor is someone that, again, based on my experience and what we do here at PowerToFly, is someone who has walked on the same path as you do and can really help you get to the next level, help you by meeting you for a relatively long period of time. We recommend at least 6 months, be there for you as your supporter and also as someone who can give you some guidance based on their experience and what works best for them. A career coach is someone who can help you if you are you're not sure where you want to go, you need direction. You're not sure where you want to go, you need someone to help you find your direction. A career coaching can be few sessions, it can be more. Typically, the type of relationship is that the coach is asking you a lot of questions and helping you to find the answers within yourself. At least that's based on my experience. I mean, I had a coach before, and they used to be more of like asking me questions rather than, giving advice. And it can be suitable for someone who is like right now, not really sure where they want to go. They're not sure, and they need someone to help them find a path for them, the right path for them.
Okay. So once that relationship is established, well, once you realize which, kind of which option you want to pursue, and let's say that mentorship is the way you want to go, would a mentor, like, I'm thinking of people that maybe because of COVID have had sudden career shifts or career changes. Is a situation like that something where you automatically kind of understand that you need to maybe reassess the mentorship relationship or put it on pause or something like that? Or is this a relationship that you can maintain, like kind of like Paulina said, as you're between jobs or between, like, even if you're facing maybe an industry change?
You can maintain depending on who the mentor is, what you are working on, and whether you feel like they can help you during that time, depending on your needs and whether the mentor can fulfill your needs. Because if you started working on a mentors when you're working at a company and they helped you with specific challenges you had, and now you have different challenges depending if the mentor can really help you face them or not. Like, for example, if you need to get help in how to present yourself in interviews, how to negotiate salary, I don't know, whatever it may be, and the mentor is not really, I mean, specifically, expert in those areas, then maybe they cannot help you. Or maybe your mentor actually does know how to do that and they can help you. So it really depends on the situation.
Okay. And I just want to flag out for you guys, we're more than halfway through today's chat. So if you have questions that you would like to ask Limor, please feel free to come off mute if you'd like. Please feel free to, you can use the raise your hand feature, or you can even just put your questions into the Zoom group chat. So please feel free to do that. Okay, so this person had asked, what is the biggest or most common mistake to avoid in a mentor-mentee relationship?
I think the biggest mistake is to assume that someone is going to tell you what to do, because it's really up to you. You need to drive that. You need to be responsible. No one is going to do the work for you. If you come to the relationship assuming, okay, I'm just coming, I'm showing up, and someone is going to solve all my problems and going to tell me what to do, that's not going to happen.
Is there a line to consider or remember when it comes to that kind of that level of professionalism? Because I feel like there's a certain amount of mentorship where you do, like, it's focused on work, but at least in some of the mentorships I've had in the past, they've also been people that know me as a person. And so, a lot of things that I would face in my career path would be, choices about like moving out of state to like be with my now husband, but it was just my boyfriend at the time. So that was something that like my mentor and I talked about like whether this was a good choice for me and how I, what questions I should ask myself as I was making it. But as you're navigating that relationship, especially with something like I've described, where it's not strictly just professional, are there certain things that you just shouldn't or really can't share with a mentor?
I mean, I wouldn't go into things super personal or any things politics or stuff like that, or any like talking badly on someone else. If you're in the same company, I wouldn't go there. I would always recommend focusing on yourself, what you can do better. A lot of times, if it's a mentorship within the company, people can tend to be blaming others or saying, oh, this person did that to me. I wouldn't go there.
Yeah, that's a good flag. And actually leads us very nicely into our next question. This person had asked, is it better to find a mentor within your specific organization or someone outside? Does a mentor need to have specific real-time experience in my area of expertise?
Yeah, I think it really depends. So a mentor within the organization can be really, really helpful because they know the company, they know the company culture, they know that, the products, they have the specific in-house knowledge. The disadvantage is if they also know the people you work with and you're kind of in the same group, and then it can make things a little bit awkward if you need help facing some challenging situations with it can be your manager, it can be someone else in the leadership chain, it can be peers, and this person, your mentor, knows all those people. Maybe he or she are friends with them. That can become a challenge. So typically what I recommend, if it's within the organization, to have mentor-mentee who doesn't know the same people, who doesn't work in the same group or departments. So it can be really unbiased and you can feel free to share information about people you work with, because a lot of times, again, the challenges we have are related to specific people, and you want to get some help. And then if you cannot feel comfortable sharing, okay, I don't know how to convince this and this, about the challenge I have. I don't know how to build the trust with my manager. You need to feel comfortable talking about all those things. And I don't think you'll feel comfortable if the person is their friend, for example. And that's where the outside mentor is, solving this problem. Also, it's completely unbiased and typically doesn't know the people in your company. So it depends kind of on how big is the company and whether you can have really, a mentor and mentee that are not within the same circles. The specific real-time experience, again, I think it really depends on the things you want to work on. If it's very, very deep technical skills or something that is very, very specific niche related to what you're working on, then definitely. But in my experience, at least being a mentor, being mentored, and the people, in our program, it's typically not very, very specific. Doesn't mean that it cannot be, but that I haven't faced it yet. But it depends.
Okay, so one of the questions that we were asked a little bit earlier in the Zoom chat, anonymously, this person had asked about where, like, specific recommendations of places to go for networking or to find mentorship, especially if it's not really possible through your own organization. So other than just, the basic advice of just going to networking events, where else could somebody look for mentorship opportunities if they wanted to be mentored, apart from, like, our traditional programs, that kind of thing? You're on mute, Moore.
Sorry about that. Now it's my turn. So I think the easiest would be to find people within your company that you think highly of, and you think they can help you, and try to, again, either ask them for help, like for one time, or maybe they're okay with meeting with you on a regular basis. And either you don't even have to define it as mentorship. You can say, can I just get your help, meet with you, every 2 weeks, every month, or whatever it may be. That can be one way of doing that. Another way would be just trying to find for people, that you feel can help you, and try to, find if they're connected to someone and ask for maybe an introduction. But really coming cold to someone will be challenging, I think. I mean, you can do that, but I don't know how you approach someone you really don't know and ask them, hey, can you mentor me? Unless they are already doing that. So I think someone or through someone would be probably the best advice I can give. And obviously looking for different mentorship programs. We have one, and I'm sure there are many others. Try to find other mentorship program and see which one you like the most.
Absolutely. I remember when I was just getting started in the professional world, granted, I was a paralegal, so I was kind of like, sidelined to that career track. But one of the things that they recommended was either to reach out to your professors, or I know that this worked for a couple of friends of mine. They reached out, especially when they moved to a new city, they reached out to professors at the local community college, because these are usually professional people. It's not usually somebody that only teaches. And so it can be a really good opportunity either to get mentorship from that person, or to ask, hey, I'm new in the area. Do you know anybody? Do you have professional connections in the area to somebody that would be interested in mentoring me? Because, like I said, if you're teaching at a community college, it's probably not your only method of, supplying income. Most of those people are working professionals. So that could be a really good kind of inroad there that you could utilize. So this person had asked, why can't I just get mentoring from my supervisor? And I know that that's like an ideal kind of venue, right? Because that's the person that's supposed to be managing you. But are there any reasons why maybe that's not something to be expected?
It is something to be expected. But unfortunately, and it's not to say something bad on people, but unfortunately, in my experience, a lot of times your direct manager doesn't have the bandwidth to do it properly. It is their job. They're supposed to be there for you and help you, but not always they have the bandwidth to do that. That's at least based on my own personal experience. Another thing is that a lot of times the challenge you have, or part of the challenges you have, are actually with them. Again, not something bad, but how do you work with them? I had situations where I really had struggled to work with my direct line manager. It was challenging to build a relationship with them and know what motivates them and how they work the best. And I try to do them with them, obviously, but it was helpful to get another person's perspective to help with that situation.
Okay, so we have come to the end of our pre-submitted questions. So I'm going to encourage everybody to go ahead and submit any other questions, lingering questions that they have. So please feel free. I'm going to start scrolling back through the chat because a couple people have messaged me directly, and that way we can ask those questions now. But like I said, please feel free to come off mute and ask questions or put your questions into the chat. There is no question too big or too small. And if you need clarification on something that we talked about earlier, please feel free to ask for that as well. So this person had asked, when is the best time in your career to have a mentor? And is it ever too early to have a mentor or too late?
I don't think it's too early or too late. As long as you know where you want to go and you want to grow, it's always something can help you. I don't think it's too early. And again, when you're just starting out, a lot of times the person who will help you is your peers, your manager. Sometimes you don't need like an official mentor. You can get help and support in your growth just from people you work with and from your manager. When you're starting out, that can be sufficient. But you always need help to get to the next level.
Okay. So we have another anonymous question that was just submitted. This person said, I've been in IT for 15 years, but pursued a different field for the last few years. Now I'm considering getting back into IT, but not in a different area than where I was previously. Would you recommend a mentor to help me navigate this, or more a situation to focus on additional training or refresher courses?
I would recommend, I mean, if this person is not clear exactly what they want to do, maybe get a few sessions with a career coach so they can really get a sense of direction.
All right. So Nicole had asked, what made your mentors so special, the mentors that you've chosen to ask for help from over the course of your career?
What made them special is that they helped me get to the next level. They helped me face challenges ahead. They helped me to gain confidence in myself and to find the answers within me. They challenged me. They made me work hard. They made me get outside of my comfort zone and do things I didn't think I can do, and really kind of break my own boundaries.
Was there ever a time where your mentor gave you specific information or direction for something, you didn't follow the advice, and then had to go back and say you wished you had? Or have you been, a little bit better about either picking your mentors or following some of the advice they've given you?
And there were times that it took me some time to follow their advice because I felt uncomfortable doing that. Because again, a lot of times what a mentor asks you to do is actually very difficult. And I tend to try to put away things that I don't want to face. So what happened to me that I was trying to, maybe avoid facing what I had to face. And I wish I've done that sooner. That happened to me. And you need to take into account that sometimes the mentor will give you advice based on what worked for them. And if you work in a situation that you know that it may not be the best course of action, then you don't necessarily have to do everything that they tell you, as I said before.
So how can you tell if you've chosen the right goals to focus on when picking your mentor? Because like you talked about, you kind of need to bring certain things to a mentor or know what you need from a mentor when you ask for these, ask for that relationship or start to develop the relationship. What if you figure out kind of halfway through that you maybe haven't picked the right goals?
So you change. I mean, life is dynamic. I mean, we don't know what we don't know, and things are changing. I think you just change the things that you want to work on as things changes. A lot of times, I mean, things even that do not depend on us change. You know, it could be that the company did a reorg, that you no longer report with, you know, to the same manager. It could be that things change so dramatically that things you thought about working are no longer relevant. Or it could be that the goals that you put to yourself, maybe you're aiming too low, and you figure that out pretty quickly. So it could be multiple things. I think if you realize that the goals you set are not the right ones, change them.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about the difference between getting a career coach or finding a mentor. Do you have any thoughts on like a peer-to-peer mentoring program or peer-to-peer partnerships? Or do you think it's better and a smarter idea to always seek out somebody who's maybe more advanced in their career than you, or hierarchically above you?
I mean, it's always good to get advice from someone else, and I always try to learn and grow every single day, and learning from someone who is peer, or even someone that works that have less experience with you. You can learn from anyone. Personally, I mean, right now with the mentorship program that we have at PowerToFly, it's not a peer-to-peer. We are trying to build a mentor community, and we'll build more communities in the future. But the way it's currently set is not peer-to-peer. Again, it doesn't mean that it's not valuable. Absolutely. Anyone you can learn from is worth working with.
So when you're going to choose your mentor, are there any questions that's kind of important to ask, that it's important that the mentee ask the mentor when developing this relationship, or even if you're not really making it a formal agreement, is there anything important that you should ask your mentor like as you're starting out?
I think that the best thing you can do is kind of share where you are and what are the challenges you have, and ask them how do they face those challenges in the past. Kind of like interview them, try to understand, how do they face that. And based on their answers, you can figure out, okay, is this person someone I can really learn from? Maybe they'll tell you, I'll never face this in my life. I don't know what their answer will be. And based on that, you can figure out if this person really you feel like you can help you, or maybe that's not the right person.
So somebody had written in privately with a question about the number of mentees that people have. If you don't mind discussing it, could you share with us how many people you are currently mentoring?
I'm mentoring 2 people right now in parallel, and I'm mentoring them for quite a while, like I think more than a year.
Okay. Do you think there's a certain number of mentees that a mentor could reasonably handle? Because I'm thinking back to times when I've asked someone to mentor me and they've told me that they just don't have the time for the commitment, or they're already mentoring several other people. I'm wondering if maybe there's like a red flag number if somebody's like, oh yeah, like I'm only mentoring 3 people right now, so of course I can take you on.
Yeah, I mean, if assuming someone is working full time and they're mentoring on top of that, I think 2, maybe 3 would be the top number I can think of, unless it's unless the relationship is they meet very infrequently, like ad hoc, or when they have a question or something. If it's like a regular relationship, they meet on a regular cadence, I think having more than 2 will probably be very challenging. That's what I've noticed on me and also on our mentors.
Okay. So we only have 5 minutes left in today's chat. Is there anything that you'd like to leave the audience with, or anything that we haven't touched on that you wish we had discussed?
I think, just the most important advice I can give all of you is that, first of all, you need to figure out what you want. No one can, do the work for you. Figure out what you want, and believe in yourself. Believe that you can actually do that. Self-confidence is something that is so important. And I see it over and over again with women who are participating in our program, even women in pretty senior positions, that they have doubts about their abilities. And this is one of the things we try to help them with. It's not the only thing, but being confident in your abilities and what you can achieve is the key to get there.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Limor. All right, so in the last 4 minutes that we have here on today's chat, I just want to make sure anybody, if anybody has any questions that they would like to have asked, please feel free to do so. We've got probably about another minute and a half we can dedicate to that. If you have not asked a question today or you don't have any questions, I'm just going to go ahead and remind you guys, I'm going to throw the links back into the chat here right now, where you can connect with Limor on LinkedIn if you'd like. I'm also resending the links for everyone if you're interested in our PowerToFly mentorship program. I'm putting the link back there where you can find that webpage on our website, as well as the instructions for how to find the form that she had talked about previously.
Yeah, and feel free to reach out. I mean, even if you're not sure what you need, feel free to reach out, and we'll try to help you figure out what can help you the most. I can tell you that I talk with women every day, and I will never recommend something that I don't believe can help. So I never try to sell something that I don't believe this woman need. So feel free just to reach out if you're not sure what you need.
Thank you so much, Limor. That's so valuable. Okay, so as we round ourselves out today, I'm just going to remind everybody, please feel free to check out some of our upcoming events. We've got a lot of great events happening this week on PowerToFly. Let's see here. I scrolled up so I could make sure I found that next link for you guys. So starting tomorrow, we are going to have a lunch break icebreaker session that's happening tomorrow. We're also having a chat and learn called Taking a Leap of Faith to Pursue Your Dreams tomorrow as well. And then in the afternoon at 3, there's live interview coaching with PowerToFly's career coach, Heather Cole. We're also going to be doing a couple different networking events in the next couple weeks, so please feel free to check those out. We've also got several other chats coming up in the next week or so about leading through the unknown, returning to work, as well as ways to stop selling yourself short and start thriving in a sales environment. So I'm going to throw the links up again one more time so you guys know where to go to look up and check out our future upcoming events. And I just want to say thank you, Limor, for spending your afternoon or your evening, I suppose, with us and sharing your knowledge and answering our questions.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. And thank you so much, Meg.
Thank you.
And everyone participating.
Yeah, thanks so much to everybody that asked questions prior to the event. And thank you so much to everyone that submitted your questions both publicly and privately during the event. Participation is always valued by us. And thank you to everyone that came off mute. Polina, looking at you. We always appreciate that. So I hope you guys have a lovely Wednesday, and hopefully I will see many more of you around on future chats with PowerToFly. Thanks, guys.